For the purposes of a farewell speech, the Speaker recognizes the Honorable Minority Floor Leader Yousef Rabhi.
Mr. Speaker!
For real this time, the Speaker recognizes the Honorable Minority Floor Leader Yousef Rabhi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Hopefully the floor leader will start the clock over for me. When you meet your friend on the roadside, let the Spirit in you move your lips and direct your tongue. Let the voice within your voice speak to the ear of their ear. For their soul will keep the truth of your heart. Khalil Gibran. I begin today with a dedication for those who have made this journey possible. To the people of the 53rd District who placed their trust in me, thank you. Not just for electing me, but for stepping up to be citizens when the state and this country needed you. My work is not my own. It may be my name on the door, but it is not my office, nor is this my chair. It does not belong to me, but rather to you. Never doubt the power you hold, nor the greatness of your voice. Never doubt that your vote matters. You are the leaders, the champions for freedom and justice. You are the water warriors, the marchers, the protesters, the callers. Your voice will be heard. Many nights in this town when the circumstances of the business before us were bruising, when hope for many of the issues I cared about seemed all but a sliver of fading light, when the forces of money and greed had all but won. You were what kept me seeing the light. You were the soldiers that carried me on your shoulder that led me to hope once again. For even in the darkest days here in this room, I may have felt like I was physically alone. But I knew that you were there always with me, showing me the path of righteousness and guiding me through a dense fog. Thank you. To my colleagues, present and past, you have no idea how much you mean to me. I have a very different and unique relationship with each and every one of you, but I consider you my friends even when we do not agree. There are unforgiving moments in this place which try us endlessly. There have been challenges, but those challenges have become a bond. To my brothers and sisters in the Democratic caucus of the 100th and 101st legislature, who placed your faith in me and gave me the great honor of serving as your floor leader for 4 years, I can tell you from the core of my being that I am thankful to you and humbled by the faith that you have placed in me. To my Republican colleagues, I see you as my brothers and sisters too. One of my favorite stories to report back home was how we would find common cause in the most unlikely places and with some of the most unlikely people. We discount each other too much, and when we do, we lose sight of the great truth that our modern society has indoctrinated us to forget. When we peel back the layers of a person, we find that at our core, we have more in common than we are led to believe. To my staff, Jelani, Alexi, Makeda, Syed, Aaron, Emily, and all of our interns, I do not deserve you. I don't know where I would be or who I would be without you, but I can guarantee I would not be half the legislator I am. You changed lives back home, helped people at the end of their options find hope again, stepped up for working people struggling to feed their families during a pandemic and helping them to get their unemployment. I remember a story, you even showed up at one of our constituents' houses with a bag of groceries when we couldn't get food assistance to them in time, and we knew that all they had left in their fridge was a packet of ketchup. You would stop at nothing to serve our constituents. We have been through a lot over the years, but one thing has never changed. We are and will always be a team. No matter where you go from here or what is next, I want you to know that I would move heaven and earth for you just to give you back an ounce of what you have given me. I will be forever in your debt. On behalf of myself and the tens of thousands of constituents you served, thank you. To my mom, Peggy, and my dad, Lunas, or as I call him, Bubba, who could not be here tonight. To my brother, Nino, to my Aunt Sonia, who is here today. To all of my other aunts, aunties, uncles, cousins, and my family from Michigan to Algeria, to my girlfriend, Katie, who's up in the gallery. And to my stay-at-home cat, Lala Aisha. I love you all very much. Each of you is very special to me. You have been my rock through this mighty journey, never wavering nor flinching in your outpouring of love, support, and pride. You have each taught me so much and helped me to grow. I am who I am because of what you have given me. There have been many sacrifices that you have made to allow me to make this journey. From late nights in Lansing to nonstop evenings and weekend meetings in district, I have not been there for you as much as you deserve. Every sacrifice that I have given, you have shouldered part of that burden, and you have done so with unquestioning love and support. To my ancestors, I speak to the heavens now, for they are all past. But I am often asked, where my passion and my values come from? Where do I get my fighting spirit or my endless tenacity? It's from you. To my grandfather, Amar, who was a guerrilla freedom fighter in the Algerian War of Independence, who deprived himself of food, water, shelter, and comfort, who put his entire self and his literal life on the line for the cause of freedom from tyranny, of French colonial oppression, who to his last dying breath lived with 2 French bullets still lodged in his body from the war. You are my hero. To my grandmother, Tessadit, who is the most tenacious woman I have ever met, who was herself a freedom fighter and hero of the people of Algeria for her bravery in the war, who kept the guerrilla fighters alive by smuggling food and other supplies to the forces, who raised 2 kids and even gave birth in the woods while fleeing from French carpet bombing and napalm, who was tortured in front of my dad and his little brother, who they tried to break but was unbreakable. You are my hero. To my grandfather, Angelo, who was a champion for the working class, who organized those who had the least to fight for their dignity in the face of the wealthy, who would seek to squeeze every person of their labor and give nothing but peanuts in return, who was the president of his UAW local, and who always was on the picket line from Detroit to Pontiac to wherever the working class was taking a stand. You are my hero. To my grandmother, Karen, who was a leader for world peace and ending global imperialism, who organized a massive march in San Francisco, headlined by Martin Luther King against the war in Vietnam, who worked at the United Nations as an unwavering voice against oppression and for disarmament. You are my hero. To my step-grandfather, Steve, who lived a life devoted to solidarity with tribal nations, who committed himself to the cause of the American Indian movement, who was involved in the 1969 occupation of Alcatraz to reclaim stolen land. You are my hero. Colleagues, on my desk in my office, I have a quote from John Quincy Adams. It says, "Always vote for principle. Though you may vote alone, you may cherish the sweetest reflection that your vote is never lost." There are times in this town where Lansing feels like a mighty river that will drown you if you are not careful. A mighty river that will push you to do things that you do not believe in, that are not in the best interest of your community or the people that sent you here. The river is a river of money, of corporate interests and lobbyists that will stop at nothing to get their will, but never forget that you are not here to work for them, you are here to work for the people. This is the people's house, the people's chamber. It does not belong to them. These walls were not built by them. They were built by working people. And it is by their hands, by their sweat, by their blood, by their tears that we must do right. I can still hear the echoing voice of our colleague Isaac Robinson, who, in my opinion, is where this analogy came from. It takes the fortitude that somebody like he embodied to stand in the mighty river despite the consequences, to stand when the tide is pushing you away, when there are safety rafts that are coming by and saying, hey, come on in, we'll throw you a rope. But every time you grab a rope, there are strings attached, pun intended, because when you do not stand for what is right, when you take the convenient route, when you say, it is okay, I will go with the flow, that's when you have compromised. Stand in the river. Stand strong to the current. Do not be wavered. Do not give up. The people depend on you. Martin Luther King once said, on some positions, cowardice asks the question, is it safe? Expediency asks the question, is it politic? Vanity asks the question, is it popular? But conscience asks the question, is it right? And there comes a time when one must take a position that is neither safe nor politic nor popular, but he must take it because conscience tells him it is right. I will end, Mr. Speaker, with words from the preamble to the Constitution of the American Mine Workers Union from 1863. Step by step, the longest march can be won. Many stones can form an arch, singly none. And by union what we will can be accomplished still. Drops of water turn a mill, singly none, singly none. Thank you.